So, on the day this video releases, hopefully, BONEWORKS will be 2 years old. Well, this is probably my favorite game of all time. But I can't say that for certain because, of course, Stress Level Zero are going to keep making future games. So I'm just going to be playing through this entire game, talk about the past 2 years of this game existing. I've completely wiped my save, by the way. It's still on my computer, I have it backed up. I just kind of wanted to get the closest I can to experiencing this game for the first time again. New game. Where do I even start with this?
On the left-hand controller, gently, in the direction you want to move. You must move by pressing the direction input on the left-hand controller.
First impressions, eh?
You must move by pressing the direction input on the left-hand controller.
First impressions are really important for
You must move by
anything to really succeed. I think BONEWORKS does a great way of, you know, presenting itself to the player for the first time. When you open the game for the first time, you're greeted with this like sign-in thing. You're greeted with the Stress Level Zero womp, and then you have this like, what is it? It's kind of like signing in to MythOS. It's like,
Welcome, Director Ford.
it's kind of hard to explain really, because
Administrator privileges
I don't think
granted.
really any other game does it.
To proceed.
Like the progression from going to the intro screen in this game to the main menu to the first cutscene and then to break room. It's all very good. Alright. Museum. Now, Museum, despite being just a tutorial, is a level I come back to quite frequently, actually.
Hello, and welcome to the Museum of Technical Demonstration.
You know, depending on how much time you tend to spend on dicking around in random levels, kind of doing nothing, this level may be frustrating. A lot of people complain that it's way too long, but really, you know, you can get done with it in under like probably 20 minutes. But the thing is, the game is just like, it's just so well made. It gets you to dig around with random shit for hours at a time.
At the dawn of our virtual world, many early inhabitants found themselves limited by the primitive concepts of short-range warp locomotion.
I think it's kind of interesting how much of this tutorial or introduction setup type stuff, how much of it is kind of in the lore of the game. Kind of like all of it is in universe. It's very cleverly done.
Speed may vary. Try crouching, walking, and sprinting to understand how locomotion and momentum drive your virtual body.
Museum also oozes confidence from the developers, really. It's kind of like, it's not like overconfidence, but you know, it's kind of like taking jabs at what most VR games do. Because it knows it's innovative. It knows that it, like, no matter what, this is kind of where we're headed. This is where virtual reality should be. Because no matter how you put it, you don't want your hands to face through a fucking wall. You want to be able to see through everything by just putting your head through a wall. You don't want to pick up a 12-ton box and have it be completely weightless in your hands. The fact that no one wants these things kind of makes BONEWORKS inevitable at some point. You know, like, no matter how many games are like, try to deny that physical interaction isn't the way to go. It is. It's definitely it's the end goal. It's the end of the road, really.
To traverse under low obstacles,
is that red, like, rubber-looking area actually bouncy? I've never noticed that. It is bouncy. Wow. I would never noticed that before. And that's another cool thing about BONEWORKS. Literally on every playthrough you'll find out something new. Because there's a lot to it. There's a lot of care put into it. I guess I should just start talking more about the community. And I guess what has happened outside of the game itself for the past 2 years. So, my experience with the community of BONEWORKS is pretty limited. Well, I guess it's very arguable whether or not it's really limited or not. I don't really use much social media. I don't use things like Reddit or Instagram or, God forbid, Twitter. But I do spend a lot of time in the official Stress Level 0 Discord server. I spend like a lot of time there, like way too much. A lot more than I'd recommend on any internet place. And I wouldn't even consider that to be the larger BONEWORKS community because there is an unofficial BONEWORKS Discord server that is a lot more populated than the Stress Level 0 Discord server, and it's pretty chaotic. I feel like it's a bit too large of a community there for me to get really invested in it. Being in Stress Level 0 Discord is like, it's like being in a very small town where everyone kind of knows each other. I won't consider myself best friends with anyone there specifically, but it's like we're all good pals. Yeah, it's a very generally chill place. A lot of the people who hang out there mainly do stay away from the unofficial BONEWORKS server. It's kind of interesting seeing that there's kind of like two sections of the community now. That's like, one is really all about the smaller Stress Level 0 server, and this other part of the community is kind of like it's very chaotic, and average age range is a little bit lower over there than the Stress Level 0 server. I joined the SLZ server in January or February of 2020. Back then, BONEWORKS didn't really mean as much to me than it does now, obviously. Honestly, I just kind of wanted a place to talk about it, because in my friend groups at that time, no one really had VR. There was no one really who were interested in BONEWORKS or VR to talk about it with. Pretty quickly, I ended up getting acquainted with the regulars there. Sometimes I was kind of an idiot back then, but you know. Ooh. Oh wow, wait, what? Oh jeez. Had no idea this was a thing.
The Museum of Technical Demonstration is brought to you by Ultramarine. Only drink Ultramarine.
It was either in February or really early March when my first VR headset broke, my first Rift S. We had a warranty on that, so we tried to get a replacement for it, and they didn't have any. They didn't have any at Best Buy because they had all sold out. So, we decided to just refund it and wait till it got back in stock, so I could order it online instead. I didn't get my headset until early May. So, not only did I miss out on the release of Half-Life Alyx, almost the entire first month of Half-Life Alyx's release, but I also missed out on BONEWORKS 1.4, I think. It was probably the biggest update for the game so far. They added the P350, Tuscany, and the handgun course, and redacted chamber. It was like, it was a shitload of stuff. I remember when the modding scene was first cropping up too. It was originally just like texture replacements or model replacements. It was really not great. It wasn't great at that time. I remember when
Chromium.
posted a video of him using a minigun, like the first modded minigun, the first modded weapon in the game, I think. And I was completely blown away by that. I was like, alright, maybe I'll check out this modding scene when it comes out, when it gets a bit more fleshed out. I'm sure a lot of people's first exposure to BONEWORKS was the best VR guns video on the Node channel. That was it's such a legendary video, honestly. Especially within the community. And that video was in, what, 2018? Might have been early 2018, actually. Oh, a damn long time ago. My first exposure to BONEWORKS was actually really late in its development. It was about, it was very late 2019, because I was doing research on VR. I was thinking of asking for a VR headset on Christmas. And, I saw what was it? It was the release date trailer for BONEWORKS. It was the one on, Runoff. That trailer is like that trailer to me is just legendary. Because obviously with my first exposure to BONEWORKS, it was so unique, really. It was different from anything else I had seen at the time. And such a cohesive aesthetic as well, and feel to it, you know? Like, BONEWORKS in general is very unique in a lot of ways, and its presentation is something that I feel is a little underrated. Apollo, the boy himself. I really want to 3D print one of these dudes. There's someone in the Stress Level 0 server, wannabe spaceman, who has gone through the mind-numbing process of printing a half-scale one. Actually, I'm pretty sure he printed like a bunch of work-in-progress ones, and never really got around to finishing them. They all look pretty good though. So, Streets. Streets is where I think the introduction of the game kind of falls off a bit, in my opinion.
All entities have been placed in temporary hibernation state.
Because, you know, sometimes it feels like it can go on a little bit long, but if you want to, you can get it done in, like, breakneck speed. You know, speedrunners can get this level done in minutes. Usually when I replay the game, I spend hours in this fucking level.
Permanent bans may be issued to guests committing crimes.
There's a lot of people who spend hours, you know, in the first few levels of the game in Break Room and Museum, because it's like so easy to get distracted and mess around in these levels. And Streets is like the first real BONEWORKS level. I think it's a little intimidating that, you know, it takes so long to get to that point for some people. Because it's like, oh shit, you know, it took people 3 hours to get here, and it's like, not even into the real meat of the game yet. I do feel bad for the people who really take their time on the first, like, 2 or 3 levels, and they lose their interest after that. This game really does get, like, it gets a lot more interesting after Streets.
report any unauthorized activity to the nearest security station agent.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's not the game's fault for really doing this. Like, it's just kind of a result of how it's made. It allows people to go at their own pace, you know? You can get through this entire game pretty quickly if you really want to. My first playthrough took 12 hours because I wanted to take my time, and as you can see, it's really easy for me to get distracted. But you know, I've seen people who have, like, played through the entire game in 6 hours. And I myself, I've had a few playthroughs that last a lot less than that. Like maybe 2 hours. And you know, there's lots of speedrun strats that allow you to complete the game in, I think, less than 13 minutes. The amount of time you put into BONEWORKS is really just how you play it. It really comes down to what type of person you are. What I like about BONEWORKS is the variety of ways you can solve problems, just due to the nature of its physics. Like, in one of my previous videos I showed this off, there's a nobody on the other side of this door. You can get him to press this button that unlocks the doors from the other side, just by, like, hugging this wall, because he tries to hit you through the wall. It's really... When I first discovered that, that was, like, mind-blowing. I think Warehouse is the best example of, like, being able to approach stuff in so many different ways, but I'll get to that when I get to that level. Feels a bit like the community is going through a bit of a slow drought right now when it comes to just content. The modding community is always going to be there, and that'll probably help with, like, boredom, but you know, I feel like we're all now just playing the waiting game for Just So Zero's next project. A lot of people seem to be very impatient about it, but you know, it's not gonna help anything. It's just gonna be it's just gonna raise their stress levels, you know?
Yo, Arthur, over here. How are you still in the city? The board's calling an emergency meeting for all Monogon employees. All of Mytho West is on lockdown.
I guess it's a good time to start addressing the story and the lore. My first time playing through, I knew what was going on, sort of. The game gives, like, a simple narrative for the player to kind of comprehend while they play the game. You know, it's not anywhere close to, like, the amount of shit that happens that's going on in the lore if you pay attention to all the clipboards and stuff and environmental storytelling. And honestly, like, the game having its story pretty hidden and making you have to replay the game to kind of get a full understanding of it, it's kind of smart to get, like, a good amount of replayability in the game. But a lot of people don't even try to pay attention to, like, really anything related to the story in the game, because it's so easy to get distracted, not pay attention to it on its surface. And then there's a lot more, you know, if you pay attention to the environmental storytelling and the clipboards and all that shit, you'll get a lot more from it than you do from just kind of only paying attention to the videos and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm at the end of the level now. Didn't really say as much as I really wished I could have. Streets is just a bit of a slow level, you know. Alright, so now we're on Runoff. I prefer this level a lot to Streets. This might be my favorite level in the game, actually. Tied with the Warehouse. Obviously, I might be a bit biased because my first exposure to BONEWORKS was when the release date trailer came out, and that was like footage of this level being played. But I think this is a good example of like allowing players to play at their own pace, but still being kind of focused enough to where it doesn't feel like you're spending too much time messing around. This level is just like so unique and well made. It's very cohesive as well. It has a good amount of set pieces and has a good amount of combat and puzzles. It's like, to me, it's kind of like BONEWORKS' concepts taken to its max in a more linear story level. All Warehouse, my also favorite level in the game, kind of does the opposite. Runoff has a lot of good pacing as well. Good flow between the puzzles and the combat. It makes you feel like you're not spending too much time lingering on one thing, or not spending too much time kind of doing nothing. Streets pacing was, I don't know, it feels slow, but that's also mostly because of how I play it. And that's the thing, depending on your playstyle, your experience with this game is going to be very, very different from other people. It's not like Half-Life Alyx, where the experience is kind of like finely tuned so you get the exact experience that the developers want you to have. The way you play BONEWORKS and the way that BONEWORKS works is completely decided by you. Like, you're the one in control of how the game feels to you here. Your experience is going to be a lot different from another person's if you have different playstyles. But there seem to be a lot of people who don't understand that. When I go on the internet, like, and I see this game brought up, the reactions I see are kind of interesting, you know? A lot of people have a lot of different thoughts on this game, because it's like, the player is in more control of their experience than the game is. BONEWORKS can be a linear story game with deep lore. BONEWORKS can be an open sandbox like Gmod. BONEWORKS can be a wave shooter. You can download mods and basically make it whatever you want. Turn it into a parkour shooter with fucking custom maps and stuff like that. There's not many other games like it because it's so malleable. And because of the nature of the player having all the control over the game, there's lots of people who decide to play in really boring ways and then blame the game and say it's bad, you know, for the way that the player plays. It's kind of... yeah, some people are kind of clueless. One observation that I think is pretty funny is that, this area over here in Runoff, this is a train station, but it's blocked off. The thing that this is so close to the entrance of Runoff, I kind of have a theory going now that the intended path that Ford was going to go through was through Break Room, into Streets, into Runoff, over to this train station in Runoff, all the way to Central Station, which would have led him to Tower, and then into the Clock Tower. And I think this is pretty funny. Half of the streets is completely because of a detour. 90% of Runoff is also a detour. The entirety of sewers and warehouse are because of this detour as well. I think it's a pretty interesting observation to have that if there weren't like a few walls that cut off Ford's path, that this game would be probably a lot shorter than it is now. That's another thing I like about this game too. The combat is actually pretty nice. NPCs I felt were a little lackluster in their abilities, but I think their physics-based nature kind of makes up for that, in my opinion. You know, I think one of the coolest things about BONEWORKS is that it sets itself so far ahead of the competition, yet still leaves space for itself to grow. There's still like infinite potential you could do with the BONEWORKS core, and there's still infinite improvements you can make with the BONEWORKS core. But it's still ahead of the competition by years, and that's very, very impressive for an indie studio. A lot of people say that BONEWORKS ruined VR for them, not because it's a bad game, but because it's so good that it's hard to go back and play other games, and I agree with that sentiment a lot. A lot of people complain about the crypticness of the lore, as I've said before. I enjoy how cryptic it is, actually. One thing I like about BONEWORKS' story and lore is that there's like so many concepts that are kind of like fundamental to it, that are unique to it. You know, like, if you want to understand what a lot of the things that are said in this game mean, you gotta do research. I like the fact that it's like spanning across all of these games that SOZ are making and have already made. The main developer who does the lore stuff, I'm pretty sure one time he explained it as a game of Hangman where each game is another letter. And, you know, I think that's a really cool concept of there being this overarching mystery, or multiple overarching mysteries that continue through a whole series of tangentially related games. Like, Duck Season and BONEWORKS are completely different, yet it takes place in the same, like, multiverse. And they have connections to the real world, technically. They have all these... there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of dimensions to it. If you really want to get into the lore of BONEWORKS and the Stress Level Zero verse, I recommend you go watch Grease Scotsman's series on it. It's great. Sewers. What a doozy of a level. This is probably the longest level in the game. So I'm gonna like try to not take my time with this, cause I'm on a really tight schedule here. What a weird level, huh? One thing I noticed is that the flashlight in this game has kind of a fake global illumination type thing. Because if you flash the flashlight on the ground, it illuminates the whole room and the area around it, which I think is kind of... I think that's really impressive, actually.
You're heading to the tower to reset. I've been obsessing over the possibility for weeks. And you acted
I
on
guess
it
this is
first.
another good segue into
I
talking
couldn't
more
let
about
you
the
think
story.
You were the only one who saw it. Just leave a way for others to get in. That's all I'm asking.
I can kind of understand why people like don't like the way the story is presented in the game, but there's so many people who say that there's no story in the game at all, which is just that is factually not true. But I do wish it was a bit more like obvious what was going on, but the game already has a long enough intro, and honestly, like, I don't know how they would make what's happening more obvious without kind of retooling, but like completely remaking the story in this levels from the ground up. Because like it's a very complicated story and lore just by nature. That's how it was made. And it's like it's very hard to understand even if they have like a 5-hour long exposition cutscene, like a fucking Metal Gear Solid game. You know, there is a reason why story and lore is kind of obscure and hidden. Like, it's not hard to find. You can find the clipboards, you can find the writing on the walls, and you can put those pieces together along with all that stuff in Duck Season. But but you know, I think the way the story is presented now is probably the best way for this particular story to be presented. But yeah, maybe the way the story is told is for a good reason. And it's not like the story is bad either. The story behind, you know, the story that you get when you look for the lore, when you look for all these secrets and stuff, it's a good story, mate. It's a good story. It's interesting, it's intriguing, it's mysterious. Whatever. It's probably one of my least favorite levels in the game, honestly. It's not because it's a bad level. It's not a bad level at all, it's just... it's so friggin' long, and it's pretty fatiguing, honestly. Like, it's not a bad level, it's just worse than all the other levels. All the other levels are so good that they kind of outclass this, really. I guess Sewers looks good graphically, but it's like... I don't know. It's such a long level. This is the one I come back to least out of all the other ones. I guess the thing I do like about Sewers is that it has so many branching paths. I think all the levels in BONEWORKS have this aspect of freedom to them where you can either take different paths or complete puzzles in a bunch of different ways. It's all physics based, dude. Physics. Like, I saw the modding scene cropping up for months with, you know, when they first did a custom item with the minigun, and I also remember when Melon Loader itself was cropping up. Those are the days, man. I'm pretty sure I only started modding my game right before 1.5 came out. I remember using stuff like the Z-Cubed mod, which I don't think is a thing anymore. It allowed... my favorite part about it was, shit. It had a lot of utilities, I think, but it allowed you to spawn a cube that controlled the direction of gravity. So if you just like flipped that cube around, it would start flying and then rotating itself. So gravity would just be completely out of control. I actually don't remember when that was. It might have either been before 1.4 or before 1.5. Oh wait. There's a Super Melon body in here. Or is that you? Yes! Yeah, there's a There's a corrupted nobody in here. That is extra corrupted. He has the ability to throw those blue projectile things the zombie throwers use. I think that's pretty funny. Oh yeah, that's something I completely missed out on about saying in the when I was talking about modding. Technically, the people who made Melon Loader, the people who first modded the game, are like canon in the lore of this game. The main developer behind the lore, Ashesso Zero, kind of, I think he saw what they were doing. He saw that they were making Melon Loader. He was like, "Hey, do you guys have a group name yet?" And they're like, "No." And he just suggested Lava Gang, and then, like, a few updates later, a few clipboards showed up in sewers with the name Lava Gang on them. So now they're forever immortalized in this game, which I think is pretty sick. And they're also forever immortalized by Melon Loader, obviously. So here comes my favorite level in the game. So what makes this level my favorite? Just the freedom of choice, I guess. It is the least linear level in the game. It's a very short level, like, generally. Even if you really take your time, I doubt you're going to be able to, like, get more than, like, 30 minutes in without starting to get bored. Like, take this one building, for example. Here are the ways you could get into it. You can get into this through this window, or, like I'm trying to do, because I guess I can't fucking do it. Go around the side, climb up the fence, climb on top of this shipping crate, and climb this ladder and get into this building. There's like so many ways to go through it. You can also go around that side, climb on top of the building, or you can go around that side, go around here. You can also go into any of these windows, or you could completely skip this building by doing a pretty hefty jump up there. Warehouse is like the level I've gone and played through most out of any other level in the entire game. Mostly because it's short and really replayable because there's so many different paths. Well, normally, the way you're supposed to do this path is you take those shipping containers over there to over here, so you can kind of walk through one of them and use that pathway, but since I don't want to do that, let's see if this will work. No, I missed the last jump. That's unfortunate. Fuck. Whatever. Still able to jump over anyways. Honestly, I think Warehouse should be like the template for what the type of levels that they do in the next game. Like, having super huge levels is awesome and all, but I think having more focused levels that have a lot more freedom and are more densely packed with detail, I prefer that over having huge levels. Bop. So, Central Station. This is such a good level. Central Station is probably the most visually impressive level in the game, for reasons you'll see in right now. That view is next level. That's insane, dude. I think it's interesting how fast Just Over Zero went from like normal indie game company to like normal indie game company who made like the most innovative VR game of all time. I'm pretty sure BONEWORKS is gonna be like looked back on as like, holy shit, you know, this was insane for the time. Like even in 20 years, I'm sure this game will become, I'm sure people will come back to this game regularly. I'm sure I will too. It'll be a retro classic by then. And I'm really excited to see what games look like when this is considered retro. I mean, like, it only took them 3 games of experience to make something like this, and I think that's fucking insane. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what to say right now. I feel like I've covered all the topics that I really wanted to. Jesus. You know, I'm really curious, like, if this is Just Over Zero's 3rd game, they have a bunch more games planned in the future, in, like, it's hard not to fantasize what it will look like in the future when those games come out and when we have a decade or two of technological advancements to back them up. This is really only just the beginning for SLZ. They seem to have much more in the pipeline. Man, I really didn't have much to say for that entire time. Apologies, viewers. So here's Tower. This is a level I don't come back to play very much because it destroys your CPU. It's very, very, very intensive. I feel like I'm running out of things to talk about. Maybe that's because I've been playing for like 3 hours. That is a possibility that I will not rule out. It's weird to think that there's even going to be a follow-up to this game. Like, no one knows if it's going to be a sequel or not directly, or if it's going to be like, you know, directly related or tangentially related. But like the fact there's going to be a follow-up to this game at all, it's hard to think about, you know? I wasn't here for the pre-release of BONEWORKS. By the time I knew about it, the game was like about to be released. And by the time I played it, it was already released for like half a month. It was already out for a few weeks by the time I first got it. So this next Just Over Zero game, I'm gonna be there for time it was revealed. I'm gonna be there for release, definitely. Hopefully with a better computer. I'm gonna be making videos about it. It's interesting to think about that there's gonna be a game like this that isn't BONEWORKS. BONEWORKS has been the only game like BONEWORKS for 2 years. There's been nothing like it since then. And so, soon enough, whenever that next game comes, you know, I just think it will be a weird feeling. I would be really excited if the next Just Level 0 game takes place in MythOS. Just because it's so, like, such a good setting, really, like, for both developing it and playing it. Because, like, right now, it's kind of like mostly dev textures. It's kind of like, in lore, MythOS is work in progress. So the developers of the game in real life kind of have to do less work on making it look polished. Like, it's interesting. It makes it easier on them, because it's like, I remember, the Power Puncher was misspelled in the menu for the utility gun. Like, when you selected it to spawn it, the Power Puncher was misspelled as Power Puncer or something like that. And the developers were like, you know what? They noticed that and they just decided to make it the canon naming for it. So now it's called the Power Puncher, and I correct it every single time someone spells it correctly. And again, it allows for a lot of good world building and funny comedy, and it leaves a lot to be explored. And you know, BONEWORKS and Duck Season and Just Level 0's games in general have a lot of world building that happen outside of that. You know, they have a lot of depth going in with this universe, or multiverse, or omniverse that they're making. I have a gun, right? Shit. Let me through. I'm surprised that worked. I am very close to the end of this game, which is very interesting. So this is not the final level of BONEWORKS, but is kind of the final level of BONEWORKS that is set in MythOS. Well, I guess Fantasyland, I think, is set, like, is kind of like a software within MythOS, I think. I have no idea, actually. I completely forgot. Oh.
Oh, what up, son?
Yo, what up, son? So here we are near the end of BONEWORKS. We're only like 2 levels away, and the next few levels are really, really short. So I'm curious what I should end this video with. Because right now, right now it's been largely just completely unscripted and has just been me rambling about random stuff.
You walk real good.
I do walk real good. Thank you, Ford. So, post-launch content, eh? How about 1.5? I remember 1.5 fondly. I remember it really well, actually. I'm pretty sure it was announced on the same day that there was a PlayStation E3 event in 2020, and that it was announced to release on it was June 18th, 2020. That shit got me so hyped, because they sold the board gun, which was like a thing that people had found in the files and data mined as like cut content for a long time. So I was really happy that it was finally part of the game. I mean, what else can I say? And you know, it was a pretty long wait for the Hover Junkers update too. I really remember that. Cause like, I remember Brandon on like Reddit and Twitter was saying like, yeah, the next update's pretty much done. I just gotta finish the trailer. I've already got it shot, so it won't be long. And then it was pretty long until it got revealed and then released. I do remember how hyped I was when it was first revealed, because like it was super unexpected. I think it was either revealed on Christmas or it was revealed sometime in December, and then released on Christmas. But I actually forget. You know, it's been a while since an update for BONEWORKS released. It's probably very justified. They're working on the next game like full force now. And I'm gonna be patient and wait as long as they need to get it done well. Because I have no idea how game development works. So I'm just gonna stay out of giving myself the authority of saying, oh, they should be doing this instead. Is he dead? Yeah.
Oh, more!
That's a little dark. Oh my god. I got the crown though. Oh, that was... I feel bad. So here we are. Final level. BONEWORKS. I can't believe I made it this far in a day. And there's actually hope for me to complete this video within my deadline. That's perfect. These statues never fail to amaze me. I swear there's something here with these plates. Or I have no clue why these plates are here. They only lift up too. I'm really curious as to why they're here. There's gotta be a purpose. But I guess also with the, like, the fact that you're able to unlock stuff like the Nimbus gun, I think it'd be really hard for them to be able to hide, like, some sort of big Easter egg that we haven't found yet. But I don't know. It's stress level 0. Who the fuck? Who knows? Yeah, Throne Room is a pretty mysterious level to me. Not only because of these plates right here, but also because of things that I'll get to later. When I'm done with killing the king. Look how cool those statues are. A piece of stained glass is very interesting too. Wonder what it means.
You've come all this way. Dukes up!
Did I actually kill him that easily? Oh my god. Well, that was... that was kind of pathetic. I feel bad. I think Throne Room is the most mysterious level in the game because of what it says about IXI, or X, or whatever the fuck you want to call them. I'm gonna go on a huge lore tangent here. The fact that this "You're Welcome" message is right here, right next to the monkey, who's known as a trickster, makes it kind of hard to trust who is actually responsible for giving us this dev manipulator, you know? Because the thing is, like, whether it is the monkey or IXI who gave us this dev manipulator, it kind of will recontextualize, I guess, their intentions and what their actions will be for us in, like, future games. I'm also curious why there are a bunch of batteries here. So here we are. It is over once again. Okay. This IXI logo right here. It's so confusing. Why is it here? Why is it in purple? Does that mean that the monkey gave us the dev manipulator? Because the logo from what might be the genuine IXI is in a different color than what was right next to the dev manipulator. Who knows? Nobody knows, actually. And I have a feeling we won't know until the future game. Oh yeah, fun fact. There's a common theory that the huge head crabs in this level are because Ford, the player character, has a fear of these crablets because right now we are in the void. This is like this is kind of the visual representation of the void after this plug. So kind of like after this point, everything that you see is a manifestation of what's in the mind of the character you're playing. So, so it's theorized that these giant head crabs are manifested from a fear of them by a character, which is kind of interesting. I've never thought of like using the environments as a way of character development. Oh wait, yeah, there's a freaking vehicle right here. Yo, what up? Okay, well that's kind of clunky. Oh wow, he's friendly now. Look at him. You're coming with me, little buddy. Oh shit. Here we are at Chamber 02. Look at it. It's glorious. Okay. Look at you. Look how cute you are. Oh my god, you're so friendly. Okay. So, this is probably gonna get into the cheesy territory. Because, almost near the end. BONEWORKS for these past 2 years has meant a lot to me, and being a part of its community has been a great experience. And theorizing about the lore and talking about all these really obscure concepts that only exist in these games because they are so unique. It's been a wild ride. And I have no idea when the next game will come out. I have no idea what's in store for us next. And it's really hard to think about what the future will look like. It was like Stress Level 0. Not because there is no future, but because it's so like there's so many directions you could go with it. Go forth and create chaos. What a fucking cool quote. It's in the same color as the IXI logo, all the way over there too. I just noticed that. I mean, we've been told not to take text font and color as gospel as to who's speaking, but I don't know. I feel like that's just an interesting thing to point out. This is so fucking cool. This is like the coolest ending I've ever played to any video game. Well, that's not true, but this is a close second, dude. This is such a fucking cool ending. Goodbye, all things, old myth, and all-consuming. The pool storms forth doomed. We live on. That's fucking cool. All of this is just awesome. And it's also mysterious. Too. It's like this is kind of like only really the setup to what's going to happen in the future with these games. And hopefully all these quotes and all these things, all these writings and all the mysterious things in these games will kind of be understood when all is said and done. When all of the games are out in this Stress Level 0 universe. It's gonna be a long ass ride. Like we're still only in the beginning. thank you for making this game stress level 0. It's been a great 2 years. Alright, let's finish the game.